Welcome back to the Coaching Lab podcast. Today's episode is timely, I think, for all of us. Our guest is Trish Turo, an experienced brain health educator, researcher, yoga teacher, and nationally board-certified health and wellness coach. She is currently the Director of Brain Health with the Virtual Brain Health Center, as well as the Director of Wellness with Kenosis Counseling Center. And she serves as an adjunct instructor for health and wellness coaching programs. With a Master of Science in Health Psychology and extensive experience across behavior change programs and brain health initiatives, Trish has also worked with leading digital organizations like Noom, Hinge Health, Together Senior Center, and Linus Health, applying her expertise to coaching, program design, project management, and research. I think you're going to find this is clearly an episode that cuts across all ages and phases of life in so many ways. If you're new to the show, I'm Dr. Brad Cooper, CEO of Catalyst Coaching, the nation's top-rated NBC-HWC approved health, wellness, and performance coach training institute. We've been training coaches since 2007. Hard to believe. So whether you're considering certification or you're already coaching and you want a strong professional community, we'd love to connect. Reach out anytime, results@catalystcoachinginstitute.com. And I'm joined by one of your favorite co-hosts, Sabryna Liddle, the VP of Coaching Excellence at Catalyst Coaching 360, the home for personalized, evidence-based coaching for employers, EAPs, and individuals since that same 2007. You can contact Sabryna about any of those at Sabryna@catalystcoaching360.com. And now, it's time to have our minds blown, or in this case, maybe I should say our minds boosted, with Trish Turo on the latest episode of the Coaching Lab podcast.
I'm so excited to get to talk to Trish. Just a little background on how Trish and I know each other. Trish and I got to work together last summer with the NBC-HWC and the NBME, which is the National Board of Medical Examiners, to help write and edit exam questions
Dun, dun, dun.
for the board certification exam.
Riveting work.
Oh my word. Talk about brain health needed. Hello. Trish, let's talk about how are our brains that week? Are those
our brains? Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be talking to both of you. That week is a blur for me. I know we laughed a lot and had fun, and I think that's the only way we survived such a intensive experience. But yeah, really important work and driving our field forward. It's such a privilege to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm just kind of laughing because as we're talking, we're going to talk about brain health, everybody, today. And I just realized that I said we spent a week there and it was actually just 2 days.
Yeah.
But my brain...
I knew what you meant. I knew exactly what you meant.
My brain thought it was a week. Okay, so Trish, I'm super excited to have you here because Trish was our brain health expert in that room. So that was really cool. And I just want to start with, I just think it's really cool that brain health is a topic, right? It actually got added, I think, to the competencies. Yes.
It sure did.
Okay.
Vocal.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So that means it's important, but I don't even know if everybody knows how important it is. So tell me a little bit about I guess why you are a brain health expert. Why is this a thing and why are we talking about it?
Why is this a thing? Yeah, there's a couple questions there. Why am I involved in this? Why is brain health a thing? It sounds like we'll get into all of that in this conversation. I know Brad shared a little bit about my background already, but just from, the horse's mouth here, I've always been interested in how our brains and bodies interact. I'm so fascinated by neuroscience. Those are some of my favorite classes. I took brain and behavior in undergrad, and it was like, oh my gosh, our brains are the key to everything. Who we are, our essence, our like how we show up in the world. If we're looking at people and behavior, I'm a psychology major. I studied health psychology in grad school. And I mean, it's all about the brain and how we take in information, how we use that information to interact with the world around us. So why is it important now? I think it's always been important, underline, underscore. Why is it important now? I'll say what I've seen from the research is more and more people are starting to understand that the brain as an organ needs support, needs health and wellness guidance, just like we have heart health initiatives and really any organ.
Right, good point.
Name an organ and there's an organization that says, liver health and heart health and bone health and muscle health. We talk about all these anatomical support structures in our body, and our brain interacts with all of these things. In fact, it's the driver for all of that. So I would say it's a really important, if not the most important part of our human body. Yeah.
Well, and there's so much focus right now with dementia and Alzheimer's being not just in the news, but we're living longer. Previously it was, if you got to 67, 69, 72, that's the way it goes. And now we're the first generation to generally not be drafted. And if we're healthy at 60, we've got a coin flip's chance of making it into our 90s. And
100%.
so it changes this equation of my brain. Obviously it's important, but now there's all this concern of, and what if? And I think the epigenetics, and I'm sure we'll get into this, we've always known epigenetics is huge with our body's function. So yes, you have these genes that drive this natural course for our physiology, and we're realizing the same is true for our cognitive abilities. So I'm hoping we'll get into that, because at least during my intro to you, I was talking about this is so applicable to all of us. Clearly, it matters to coaches. But any listener tapping into this is probably in the back of their mind thinking, is that going to be me? And what can we do along those lines?
Yeah, such a great point, Brad. I think what I have noticed as a coach and director of brain health, talking about resources for different populations, a lot of people think that brain health and cognitive health and dementia and Alzheimer's are for the old folks, right? Like it's only this specific thing. And I've been really sounding the alarm of brain health is for every age, every stage. It doesn't matter how long you've been here. It really matters that we're supporting our brain health throughout our entire lifespan. And yes, you're right. We are living longer. That's such an important point too. If you don't mind a quick tangent,
we love tangents. Tangent away.
One of the things that I found so fascinating about dementia and Alzheimer's research is, symptoms for those specific disease processes tend to start, 50s, 60s and beyond. But what we know is these diseases are developing well before that, at 30s, 40s. And that's not to create fear mongering or scaring. It's actually to bring about some awareness for people that they can do a lot right now. You can do a lot today to support your brain health, no matter what age or stage you have. And for a long time, people thought, well, I'll just I'll die before my brain goes bad. That was a real thought that people would have is, I won't survive to have dementia because my brain will, carry me into whatever stage of life. But like you said, because we are living longer, because as a baseline, we have medical support throughout the whole lifespan, that being in, living to 90, 100 is no longer,
it's not a stretch. It's an expected.
People expect that there will be people, everyone knows somebody in that age group. And so we have to kind of go, yeah, this is affecting more people than it ever has.
Right. Like I was telling Brad the other day, I don't think I ever told him this, but I'm motivated by fear. It's just a thing.
Many of our clients.
It's not everybody, but I'm like, okay, I need to take care of my brain now for fear of I am whatever age, and my body that I've taken, paid attention to is doing great. And then my brain's not, and like you said, Trish, wait, so I should be thinking about this, because I'm only 29, right? while I'm 29.
I'll confirm that for you.
That's what we tell people.
That's what we tell people. But I want to add to something that, like, this fact. I'm pretty sure it's a fact. Trish, you can tell me if it's fact, but I read or heard that the brain is only 2% of our body weight, but it uses 20% of our energy. 2% of our body weight, 20% of our energy. I believe
the first part. The second part depends on who you talk to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting science around how much energy is used, and there's
by the brain.
There's lots of correlative studies. I think what's really interesting is, for me, I don't really think about the question around how much is our brain using. I think about how much are we taking care of our brain so that it can use what we need. And so that's that's the research question I tend to stick around is what action steps, what behaviors, right? We're health behavior experts, right? That's like what we do. Right. So what behaviors can we change or modify to build in what we call cognitive reserve or energy stores, what you're kind of talking about, to live the life we want to live.
Right.
If you want to live a high quality life, what are the specific action steps that I need to take in order to do that? And so that's the place I like to spend most time on. Because everyone's different and everyone has, we all talk about individual differences. I don't know that there's a concrete, there's probably a range, I would say, when it comes to percentages. But I think the important question really becomes, am I doing the things I need to do to live the life that I want to be living?
I want to live.
Let's not leave people hanging. Let's jump into some of those, Trish, because I think a lot of folks that maybe see the headline of this podcast, that's what they came for, and that type of. So we'll take deeper dives as we go forward, and as Sabryna kind of peels this back a little bit more. But give us some high level. These would be the 3 things, the 5 things that people can really, practically speaking, have a positive influence through their daily choices. And I think I can probably guess at some of them, but I'm very curious what you're going to throw out there.
Yeah, actually, I love this question, and I'd love to hear from both of you which ones you think they are.
I feel like we're playing Family Feud now.
No.
Family Feud time.
Tell me which ones you think they are, or at least 3 or 4 that you think. I'll confirm or deny, and then I'll expand on the ones that maybe we didn't get. How does that sound?
Okay. That sounds great. But I literally am
just giving you a list, and I want to see what you know. What
I'm picturing Family Feud going on here, and you're like, survey says.
I love that.
Sorry, Brad.
Well, I was picturing Brad, our Catalyst cornerstones, when Trish was saying that. So
for sure.
My brain is going, okay, move, feel, rest, connect. Oh, which one is the most important? I was going to go.
It depends on the person. It's just like it's just like a supplement, Sabryna. And Trish, tell me if I'm wrong here, but the person who's already fueling well, they're fueling well. Their best next step is not better fueling. It's the one that you have when you talk about supplements. You don't some people benefit from supplement A and some people don't because they're already fine in that area. And my guess is, Trish, the same is true with our cognitive aspects. So yeah, I think Sabryna's nailed it. Move, fuel, rest, connect has to be at the very top of the list for what we're talking about.
Yes. So those are fantastic things. Let's get the physical activity in. Let's fuel our bodies, good, healthy diet. Let's make sure that we're resting and getting adequate, high quality sleep, not just an amount of sleep, but high quality sleep.
High quality.
And of course, connection, socialization, supporting relational health. Those are all really important things. You can add on to that with the wellness wheel of things like, managing mental health. We know anxiety and depression are both pretty high risk factors for cognitive decline.
Wait, let's stop there for a second.
Yes.
Because I don't know that you just said that. Managing anxiety and depression is like really important for our brain health.
Sure.
Does everybody know that?
Or what does that mean?
Can we ask them? I don't know.
Let's talk about, I want to do that rabbit trail just a tiny, tiny bit because I don't know that people really understand that. Yeah. So what do you know? What does the evidence say on that?
What do we know about mental health? So, kind of the same of idea tying into managing stress. We know there's acute stress and chronic stress, right? And how that interacts with our bodies. Mental health, anxiety and depression are two of the highest predictors of not only of cognitive decline, but in terms of the mental health disease processes, mental health risks. Anxiety and depression both are high on the list of risk factors for dementia. And what we mean by managing those things, that doesn't mean if you have anxiety or depression that you're straight shot to dementia in any way. But we do,
because that would help the anxiety.
Yeah, right. We do know that they're highly correlated and that people with dementia tend to have either anxiety or depression or we know that they're very comorbid as well. So they tend to hang out.
Okay, but let's maybe back up because is it related to the stress effect on brain 100%, health too?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And I think that's what I think people don't quite get. Right.
And what I think when I talk to clients about this specifically and their anxiety ramps up of, does that mean I'm going to get dementia? Because that's a big question I get. And, I have to walk that line sometimes of one, I can't predict what will or won't happen. We have to be really intentional and thoughtful about that approach with people who are dealing with really, like you were just talking about, that sort of fear-based mentality around what's going to happen and what don't I know, what's uncertain to me. And so when we think about managing anxiety or depression, a lot of times people think, therapy, medication, those are really important things as well. Those are pieces of managing mental health. The other piece is utilizing the other lifestyle supports to help with that. We know that activity and movement can help reduce your anxiety and depression. We know that having really positive, healthy relationships can help with those things. So a lot of times we talk about them as an interwoven support system. If you're doing these things, it helps all these other lifestyle interventions as well. And so what's one nice thing about talking through mental health management is, yes, if therapy or medication is helpful to you, but also, are you already doing some other things to support your mental health that help tick the other boxes, right? And like what a great way to look at it is like this cohesive system instead of, it's one over here and one over here and I have to kind of check them off individually. I look at a whole person and say, what are the things that you're doing to help these various these various
and it will help your
lifestyle
brain
behaviors,
health. It will help
and how might they all support each other so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. It doesn't feel like a long list of to-dos. But hey, if you take a walk outside with the sunshine on your face and the fresh air and you hear bird song, does that help your mental health? Does that help your physical activity for the day? Does that give you a little boost of energy, right? Like we're really thinking holistic here in that mentality.
Mm-hmm. What do you like? What response do you typically get when like I know as coaches, we're always talking about the catalyst cornerstones. When people come to you and they're like, hey, wait, I want to take care of my brain. And they're expecting, I don't know what they might be expecting to hear. Maybe
a magic pill.
A magic pill. I don't know. A bunch of electrodes.
Yeah.
How do people respond to that message, do you think?
I think, obviously the whole individual difference thing is always going to come up, but a resounding, overwhelming majority are relieved to know that there's things that they're already doing to support their brain health. And what's really cool, and you two know this better than anybody, when you draw awareness to a behavior that someone's already doing and they feel really good about,
right,
what's going to happen?
Yeah.
They're going to want to do more of it. They're going to go, oh, I know how to do that. That's easy. It's the small step approach around, oh, if I get outside and take a little walk, that's going to help my brain, my body, my mood, my relationships, all these things. I keep saying walk because it's just such an easy first step for anything. But it's not the only behavior. But I use that as an example because for a lot of people, taking one step is such a big win that we really lock into that and say, you're already helping your brain right now. And by the way, to all the listeners right now, you're helping your brain just by learning something new right now, by listening in and learning about your brain. You're doing something for your brain health. So
I want to go down that rabbit trail, the learning something new. Okay. Because you just triggered something, because I wanted to ask you, like a lot of people I think are out there and they're like, oh, I do Sudoku every day. Yeah. I do Wordle every day. That's what I'm doing for my brain health. Okay. I've heard this.
Super
before.
valuable for about a week.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, Brad. So if I were to ask you, hey, Trish, what's better for my brain health? Sudoku every day or walking? Since you keep talking about walking,
I love that question.
Yeah, what would you say
for my brain health? I'm going to say it depends.
Okay.
Now, think about what we as health coaches do already, which is sort of like help people discern what's best for them. We're walking alongside. We're saying, you know what you're going to focus on and do. So if somebody, I could have two of the same people say the same thing to me and need very different things. And part of that is me helping them discern what's feasible right now, what's a doable goal. Because if they're saying taking a walk every day is actually really challenging for me for whatever reason, then that might not be their first goal. Maybe that's a later goal.
Maybe that's later.
Maybe just getting started with Sudoku every day gives them some routine to hold on to. I'm going to work on my puzzles today. Whereas somebody else might go, I really need to do this for my brain health. Which one should I do? And they might be leaning towards, I really just want to be consistent with activity, so it really does depend. But when you're asking what's better for your brain health, any type of activity and cognitive activity are good things for your brain health. I would say they're of equal importance when it comes to supporting your brain health. We need to be lifelong learners. We need to constantly bring in new information so that our brain makes new neural pathways. And
so that's kind of what I'm getting at, though, because
so
I'm wondering.
Activity does the same thing.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. They're both.
Okay. But like for the person that is doing Sudoku every day, thinking that that's
the answer,
checking the box for the learning part.
Right.
I think that's kind of what I want you to speak.
I'll speak to that. I'll speak to that.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying, because it's a toss up when it comes to which goal is important. When I'll give you an example, which I think will actually help frame this really well. I had a client who was really into it. I think it was Wordle. I think he was really into Wordle, and he was like, I keep getting on the harder levels. It's definitely helping my brain health. And we talked a little bit about it. I said, how easy is that for you? And he's like, it's pretty easy. I kind of love it.
Okay.
And I'm going, that's awesome. I love that you love that. Do you think it's challenging you in any way? And he goes, I mean, not really. Should I be doing something else? And I said, well, let's think about this for a moment. If it's something you enjoy and you love,
that's right.
I'm putting that more in the stress management category, right? Like maybe this is something that helps relax you. Maybe this is something that brings you a little bit of joy. Maybe this is a good mental health practice. But is it actually getting at what you think of as a cognitive activity that's making your brain think and spin those wheels? And he's like, probably not. So he already knew the answer. And when we kind of dug down into the weeds a little bit, he realized, I really want to learn. I want to make sure that I'm learning something new. So then his goal started to become, I'm going to try different cognitive brain games. I'm going to go back to learning chess again that I haven't played in 20 years. And so he had a goal to make himself think a little harder. That was kind of the goal. Is like every day I want to think a little harder about something rather than do an activity that was just fun, just enjoyable, allowed him to relax. We can put it in that category, and that's great. But the brain training and puzzles, a lot of people think that's the thing that's going to check off the box. You have to really think, what is the function or intention of this activity? Is it to make me think a little harder and to make me strategize a little bit? Or is it helping me feel good because I win it?
Right. Which we know as coaches, we want people to feel good. But like you said, I think it's so huge. Is it stress management? Right. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. But so as a coach, you were, through exploration, were able to talk with that client about but what's really good for your brain?
Yeah, I mean, both learning. Both good, but different functions. If the goal for him is to learn and think a little harder and really get cognitive activity, the function of his Wordle games was not approaching that, not addressing that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you find that a lot of people recognize that learning component, how important that is to brain health? Because I don't know that most people know that.
I've heard a lot of people come to me and ask about brain games and puzzles.
Okay.
Because they have been told or have heard, and the marketing out there is really good around brain training. Like there's a huge marketing and a whole industry around brain train and there's nothing wrong with any of that. I think that there's enough room at the table for everybody. But I think what, again, is really important is, when people come and ask me, if I do these puzzles, is that enough? And I think you both know the answer. It's one small aspect of the whole piece. It would be like me saying, if you go out and run every day, but then you eat trash, literal trash, you're fine, right? That's not true, right? We need we need sort of both. So if you're doing cognitive training and you're really engaging in challenging, activities, and then you're also doing puzzles that make you feel good, those are both
good.
Really wonderful things. You just have to know what the function behind the goal is. What are you trying to accomplish?
Okay, so you're making me go down my other. I've been going down, which Brad knows. We talk about artificial intelligence all the time. And so we're talking about this whole learning thing. So this is how it's related, everybody. All you listeners, this is how it's related. Because I feel like artificial intelligence we are tapping into it sometimes to help us learn, right? But also for a lot of functions. Yeah. And so I just want to know you, Trish, what do you think about technology and brain health? Or how have you talked about it, I guess?
Okay. I want to
You're going to clarify.
Are we asking about AI specifically or technology? Because technology is a big umbrella term.
Right. That's a good question. Well, sometimes I think people are like, oh, technology. Well, technology is everything, right? So
right. It's almost unavoidable to not have technology.
Yeah, let's run down the AI path. How would you suggest utilizing AI that would support that growth versus become a crutch that now our mental muscles atrophy because we've chosen to use that crutch longer than we needed to?
Right. I think it is such an important and relevant piece of the puzzle right now, especially in our human history as AI continues to move forward with a very strong progression path. From a brain health research perspective, we know AI isn't going anywhere. It's not stopping anytime soon, but there is a lot of real concern about the prevalence of AI in all aspects of life. Because
it's everywhere.
It is. I just the other day I was teaching a yoga class at my studio, and one of my students was telling me about a recipe she found through her ChatGPT search. And, she's like, what do you think of this? And there's a piece of me that's like, great, I'm so glad you found it so quickly. And then there's another piece that I thought of, what happened to the time when we opened a book and looked for things and used our critical thinking skills to say, that's not what I wanted, but, here's this. And, I can supplement egg with this. And, there was a time where we had to do a little bit more digging into, I'm just talking about recipe exchange right now, but that's how, it's happening everywhere. And I think that there's some positive pieces that people can get information more quickly. But there's a piece that my personal concern is where critical thinking skills might start to fall short, and that people aren't necessarily getting the information and evaluating, is this the right information I need? Is this, in fact, valid or accurate information?
You mentioned discerning. Remember, discerning is a skill.
It is. And it's a fun to do if you don't practice it.
If you don't practice it. Right.
And if you're given information freely and easily, your brain tends to go on autopilot.
Oh, right. It likes it. It's that whole energy thing. Remember, that if it's our brains use a lot of energy, I brought that up because the point is then it wants to save energy where it can.
100%. Yeah. All our brain wants to do is the easy thing. Right. Our brain wants to do automatic, easy, pain-free, lots of, don't challenge me too much.
Right.
The more we challenge it, the more, and I say brain as an it, but the more we challenge our brains, the more we sort of almost like when you're lifting weights, you're stressing the muscles and the bones, right? It feels uncomfortable in the moment, but the
but that's how you strengthen
incredible,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So the same thing happens with our brains. The more we engage and learn and think about new perspectives, when I hear something for the first time and I go to research it, I want to learn what both sides are saying about this thing. It's the same thing with AI. I've read a lot. I've been very skeptical of AI. And so I've started to read a lot of the perspective of the good things that AI can do. And so while it hasn't completely made me turn a corner and go, oh, I'm, all for it, I'm still I have a very healthy skepticism of what it can and cannot be used for, and what areas of healthcare can benefit from that versus where we really need the human touch, the human approach to remain. I do see that there's, some good and some bad and a lot of discernment. I think that's a really good word, Sabryna.
So let's get practical here.
Yeah.
95% of our listeners are using AI in some format. What would be one tweak that you would encourage them to implement in their utilization that could turn it more into growth versus another version of Instagram where we're maybe not just flipping through pictures, but we're flipping through answers and we're not being critical. We're not using that discerning nature you're talking about. What would be one tip that people could take that first step into? We're using it anyway. How can we utilize it in a valuable health-wise and not just information-wise?
Yeah. Oh, I like this question a lot, Brad. I love the idea of using a low stakes example. So for example, if you're thinking, I want to find a recipe or I want to create a workout plan, something that's low stakes, right? Something that's like not for work or something that you need immediately, but you know that you can have some time to really practice some critical thinking skills and use some discernment and really think about all of the evidence around it versus just what's the quickest answer right now. I would say doing a small step like that on a pretty regular basis, whether it's plan my workout routine and then actually plan it out, like get a pen and paper and write it down or, put it on your calendar. I think about scheduling can be a helpful way to do that, starting to write things out versus having it all automated.
Oh, so you're saying how people should actually try and do these small tasks, like do the small tasks instead of ask AI to do it for them.
Absolutely. Yes. Get the journal out, write it down. Try. I know that sounds so crazy right now in 2026, get a pen and pad, but I really encourage people to do that. To
try it first.
Yeah. Try it first. Low stakes activity. A low stakes thing. You have a question you want answered. What should my workout routine be? What should my meal plans be for this week? How much sleep should I get? You can research all of that stuff without AI. That's all information that you can search for and corroborate with actual evidence. You can look and say, okay, do enough studies say that I need to do this? You can do that and take some time to actually think about, does this work for me? You can ask experts. You can say, I want to talk.
So I hear you saying, put it together and have the person like reflect on it themselves. Instead of, so kind of get the answer, but also reflect on it. Because I'm thinking I don't know, Trish. I'm thinking I probably would still use AI for some of the pieces of the puzzle.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I would do again, low stakes thing, something that isn't gonna, you need it for work tomorrow, but something that you can do and you can take some time to deliberate and discuss and talk to experts.
So that you do
read
all
some
that.
Books. Think,
so you don't forget how to do all those processes.
For sure. Think about when we were in high school and we needed to write a paper and we went to the library and we might have used maybe we took out books or interviews, or we looked
so we got information.
We looked for first person accounts of things versus just always taking the Google search word for it.
Right.
Remember when Wikipedia used to be a no for references?
Right.
Now it's like one of the most referenced websites. And there's nothing wrong with, a system that upgrades constantly. But if we can do that more and more, if we can take a low stakes thing that we want to learn about, I think just back to Brad's question of what can we do practically today about this? Take something you want to learn about and go and do some research on that particular thing. Learn about it through a documentary, talk to somebody about it, watch a YouTube video, read a book about it. Do something that doesn't require instantaneous information that you can learn about through some time.
But I think when you're saying get that information and learn about it, I think the key verb in that is learn. And I think part of learning is
challenging your thoughts,
processing it, like taking it, processing it, and then doing something with it almost, right? Well, kind of like you would say, like take what you've learned, create your workout plan, do the workout plan, then figure out what worked and didn't work. Okay, take the information, get this recipe, do the recipe, figure out what worked. So I think it is like taking the information and applying it and then see what comes of it.
Absolutely. You're literally talking about kids doing science experiments.
Right.
We can put ourselves in that same vein of I'm just here to try it and learn it without the expectation that it has to go perfectly or I have to get the instantaneous answer. Try it out. Stay curious. Stay intrigued by what could come from learning about this versus I need the immediate answer.
I just need the information. I need the answer. Right. And so I think what we're saying is like we have to remind people about, for our brain, we're talking about our brain health, is to say, hey, I can use AI to acquire information, but I have to make sure I'm learning from any information I get.
So let me throw out an alternative and get your thoughts on this, Trish. As you're talking this through, I'm wondering, could we flip it to the other side? So instead of manually finding the information, could we, and tell me if you don't like this approach because you're the expert here, could we get the information immediately and then challenge that or explore through that for the next step? So, for example, I'm looking up some whatever, curiosity, and I get my answer of the information, and now let's grow from that information. So ask it, what would be 3 books that would expand my thinking in this area? What would be, or push back and challenge, I don't think that's accurate. Do other experts say different than the information you're providing me here? So treating it as, because I'm just thinking, if I could go to the grocery store and get all my fruits and veggies, gardening might be fun, and that might be a hobby for a lot of people. But for me to say, I'm going to garden because I want to go back to how it was X number of years ago. So I'm just wondering, is there a way to flip this the other way and go, okay, the information is sitting right there, but the information is not where growth occurs. The information is not where we stretch our thinking. The information is not where we use our critical thinking.
Right.
But the information could be the starting point on which we grow if we're purposeful. So
I think that's the exact word, purposeful, that I was just thinking about when you said this. I know so many people who do exactly what you just described. They take AI answers and then they grow from there. But I also know the opposite happens.
They just take the
It's just default.
Yeah. And that's the default answer. And so what you described, why not? Right? If we're being really intentional and purposeful about the information we're receiving, we're not just taking it at face value, but we're saying, I'm going to use my brain today and I'm going to take the information that I've been given and I'm going to look more into this. I'm going to do a little bit more critical thinking around this by getting more information or corroborating this with another, data, another point over here. And like you were just talking about with gardening, I know plenty of people that use AI to say, how do I start my garden, right? But yes, what else can I learn from this? What else can I do from this? And if you are, in fact, taking the information and then going and doing something with it, you're actually making the garden, you're putting in the work, you're getting so many benefits from that.
Right.
And so the question you had is, can you do the opposite approach? Absolutely. I think that's where coaching is such a valuable tool to be able to help people discern what avenue they might approach. It might be a little bit of both. They might come at it from different angles, but I think your idea of being really purposeful with the information that we get, that's really where that's where the good stuff is.
That's the good part. So, but you are saying, this is what I'm going to go back to, if you're using AI and you're just using it and you just take the information and accept it as is, that's not so great for us. That's not, and we're talking about brain health. That's not good for our brain health. Like just taking it, not doing anything with it, saying, oh yeah, okay.
I would
accept.
say personally, that's not learning. That's just conforming.
Okay. Right.
It's just saying, okay, that's what it is. But we need to challenge things and we need to look at the full picture and not just one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is really interesting because I'm thinking about what we've talked about. We've talked about the 4 cornerstones, move, feel, rest, connect. We know those are good for our brain. Right. And then we kind of moved into like this whole idea. We have to keep the brain learning is what you're saying. We have to keep the brain learning.
Yes. For the rest of your life.
For the rest of our life. Okay. That's what we got to do for our brain health, right?
You can learn something new every single day that you're breathing.
How would you approach the person so that they know that they're learning? I think I know, but I'm saying for our listeners and for maybe some of our listeners who are coaches that are coaching their clients and they're you have also used the word challenge, challenge and learning. Mm-hmm. How do we make sure, or how do we explain to our clients that they are learning through challenge?
Yeah. It's a good question. I do talk to people who get frustrated by the slow process of change. I actually think it can be a really valuable tool for coaches to talk about how slow sustainable change and growth is the most beneficial for your brain.
So to say that is good for our brain, because we live in this society where, society loves instant gratification.
Right. Yeah, of course. Who doesn't want their cake to just come out right away, right? But I think when you're cooking something really good, it takes some time. That it requires some mixing. It requires some kneading. It requires a base layer of oil. It requires, a lot of different ingredients. And then you got to put it in the oven, and then you got to put a timer on. You got to wait for it. It doesn't just come out that way. And, I think any learning and growth is incredibly valuable to our brains, because our brains are constantly learning. We are always making new neural pathways. And when we do, it's just fortifying the things that we already know. But when we're learning new things, we're creating new bridges. We have that's what neuroplasticity is all about. If you've heard that buzzword, it's building new neural connections throughout.
And that's what we want.
We absolutely
That's the goal.
That is my goal.
But Trish, are we learning? Isn't that what our conversation is all about? I'm picturing people's brains sitting on the couch, just like I'm picturing most of our population sitting on the couch. Are we always learning, or is that the choice that needs to be occurring? Just like activity doesn't happen on its own, I can sit on the couch and just do another episode of Netflix. Just keep scanning that phone, or I can lace up those shoes and get out. Same thing with the learning. The opportunities are there like never before in history of the human race to learn and grow. And our brains, we can just set them on the couch and zero growth, zero learning.
I'll give you the short answer, Brad. Yes, we are always learning. And sometimes we're learning to be passive.
So no. Let's stay on this for a minute. Learning means movement. It means growth, correct?
Yes.
So you can't be learning and on autopilot. Those cannot run together.
Your brain is learning that this sedentary experience feels good. And so
your brain is created that way. Like we just that's evolution.
Right.
We want to save everything.
Right? It will seek that out, which is why those types of habits are so incredibly challenging to break, because we have learned there is a pathway there that's very easy to get to. If I sit down and I don't have to think about anything, this feels good. So it is a learned thing.
Learned past tense.
Say that again.
Learned past tense. We've learned that we like this state.
But then it's being re-fortified, basically. Every time you do that habit.
Yeah, because it saves physical energy. Like our brain wants to save energy.
And it's a layered process. Every time you do the same habit, it continues to build on that same thing. So it is still creating a pathway, but it's the same one. It's the easy one.
Yeah, it's just thickening it.
Right. And so there's a point to be made, you were saying, to lace up the shoes and kind of do the uncomfortable thing, which is just to get your butt out the door, right? That's the hard part. That's going to create a deeper, harder pathway. And that's going to be something you have to do time and time again to make that a habit. That's where the neuroplasticity comes in. But we are always learning. Every stimulus in our environment is...
we just might not be learning what's good for us.
Right. I think that's
I feel like that's what you're saying. Like,
and
our brain is still making connections.
Yes. I want to make that distinction because we are always learning something. We're always taking in what our environment is providing. So everything we're looking at,
I see what you're saying,
and feeling, we're learning something. And maybe that learning is, I like sitting on the couch. This feels good. Or
that's not good learning, though.
But it's a learning of a behavior that we're going to we're going to go to because we've learned that feels good. And I think Brad's point is really well made, that we can also learn how to unlearn those things. And our brains can do remarkable things when we push them to try new things.
And you mentioned stimulus. So I love that phrasing you use, because it sparks the fact that if it's the exact same stimulus every day, you've already adapted. It may be firming up, it may be thickening, as you talked about, but it's not creating new pathways. It's not creating new opportunities. It's not stretching us. It's not moving us in new directions. And so maybe that's one of the key applications is, let's look at last week to this week, or last month to this month, or last year to this year. And am I providing new stimuli? Or is the stimulus that I have in my life the exact same stimulus I had a year ago? Whether that's, value of travel or experiences or learning to dance or reading new books or talking to people you don't agree with or whatever it might be, it sounds kind of like that's one of the steps that you can compare and contrast is period A to period B. Is it the same? Because if it is, I'm really not growing. I'm really not learning.
Right. It's the same idea of, do you want to do the same puzzles every day, or do you want to try to learn chess? It's the same idea. And all of the things that you said pointed to great brain healthy behaviors. Try talking to someone you don't agree with. That'll get your brain active,
awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Try traveling, learning new cultures, learning new languages, dance. Oh my gosh, dance has so much data behind it, because it's active movement, it's social, you're learning choreography. There's an incredible amount of things happening. So
I'm hoping Susanna doesn't hear this one. I'm just going to throw that out there.
We're gonna make you learn how to dance, Brad.
Brad's on the dance floor next week. But
exactly. You'll notice that there's probably never been an episode on dance. So everybody.
That's weird. I don't know why that would be.
There's so many good ways to do it. And one of the things that I think is really helpful, we're kind of alluding to what are some other, brain healthy things that we can do to support our brain health throughout the lifestyle. Anything that you can learn that's new, even a skill that you do know, can you teach it to someone else? That is an incredible thing. I know so many people that they're like, I don't really want to learn new things, but I can teach somebody. Great. Go teach them how to bowl. Go teach somebody how to dance. Go teach somebody how to bake. That's going to get you your social connection time to reduce isolation and loneliness. That's going to help you think of new pathways. If I know this inherently, but then I have to teach it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. What an incredible way to get your brain thinking about the same thing in a different way. You have to put on your first time learner's cap again and go, how am I going to teach this to someone who doesn't know anything about this?
You're saying this and you don't even know about Brad making us do track workouts, do you?
Back in the day. Back in the day. All right.
Brad
so
taught me more about track work than I ever wanted.
And I just want to put the made you in quotes because we just set it up and anybody could come that wanted to. So everyone keep that in context.
It was free will.
Exactly. It was free will in action and it benefited us all. So Trish, just kind of tie a ribbon on this. I'm sure you're thinking, how have they not asked me this question yet? What's the question that you're thinking, really? You haven't asked me this about brain health yet? What's wrong with you two? So I'd love to hear that. And then any big takeaways. And actually, I'd love to hear how you're applying this in a new way in your life if you have something that sparks for yourself.
Oh, I love that you asked that question. I'm actually really excited to answer that one specifically. So what haven't you asked me yet? I think you both were getting to it, but didn't quite ask the full question. Maybe you did. We'll have to go back and look at the tape, run the tape. So what are the main categories of brain health? I think we kind of talked about it and then we went down some rabbit holes, but let me get those out there for your audience so that everybody has like, what's the research say is most important to support your brain health?
Excellent.
So we already got physical activity, diet, sleep, stress management. We also know that social connection, that reducing isolation is really important, as well as managing mental health. So those are all pieces that we've talked about and focused on in this episode. The other piece I really want to make sure that everybody knows before we leave today are managing specific medical conditions. So we know that managing type 2 diabetes, of course, type 1 as well, but type 2 is most important as a risk factor, as well as hypertension, high blood pressure. So those are two pieces that are really important to be aware of and consider. So any coach that's dealing with, that's working with someone who has those conditions, be aware of that as well.
That's huge.
The other piece that I think is really important that people don't necessarily know inherently like they would the exercise and diet is vision and hearing loss. So if we make sure that we have prescription glasses that are working for us and we have hearing aids and we make sure that we're getting our hearing checked regularly. I know it's starting to become more and more of the conversation, but when I think of clients who are looking at or facing potential cognitive decline diagnosis, I say, when's the last time you got your eyes checked? When's the last time you've had a hearing evaluation? Those are two things that you can do pretty immediately to support your brain health. And for the very reason we've talked about all episode, stimulus. We want people to be able to see and hear the things around them. It also reduces isolation when you can engage in your environment. Really important stuff. And then the last piece, of course, I know it sounds kind of cavalier to say this, but reducing your alcohol and smoking. I would say there is no safe amount of either. And even alcohol is being studied as, you know, there's all kinds of studies out there saying how much alcohol you can have. But as of this time, the consensus of the entire brain health community is that there is no specific amount of alcohol that is safe. So reducing alcohol and really eliminating smoking by any standard is going to help your brain health.
You just gave all of us coaches so many good things to do.
And you know what? There's coaches for all of these things, right? There's smoking cessation coaches. So all of that's really good stuff. But I wanted to make sure that we definitely touched on the things that you can do immediately, which is go get an eye and hearing evaluation, vision and hearing evaluation.
Beautiful.
The other thing you asked, Brad, which was really important, is what am I doing? And I'm so excited you asked this because I'm actually really excited about this. And maybe it's not as exciting for everybody else, but I recently went on a trip. And normally I would bring a Kindle to read a book or, you know, be able to have something to do while I'm traveling. And I made it a very, very purposeful and conscientious effort to bring only actual binded books. I really wanted to get off of a screen and eliminate my screen time by just reading a paperback book. And for some people that might be like, okay, big whoop. But for me, it was a big deal because normally I'm like, okay, now I have lots of options in this little thing and I can read what my mood, you know, is providing. Right. I just read the books that I had, and it was some of the most blissful flight hours I've ever had because I didn't watch the TV that was in front of me. So I had no screen. And I just read the book, and it reminded me of, like, time before cell phones, time before all the screens in our faces. And it was really delightful. And I would say it tackled on my, mental health, checkbox of relaxation, but it also made me really focus on it. I didn't have distractions from the screen or even notifications from a phone or anything like that. I had to read what was in front of me and track the letters and the words. And if I didn't quite read it, I was distracted. I'd have to read it again.
Yeah.
So
and you can write in it.
Back to the,
yeah. You can underline stuff and reference back.
Yeah. It made me go back to a skill of reading a piece of paper. And wow, that seems so silly and maybe basic. It was really incredible. And I felt, I can't tell you how proud I was of myself for really sticking to a goal I had and being like, I did that. I just read books the whole trip. I didn't look at screen.
Yeah, I love that.
Funny too,
because I felt really excited about.
Yeah, and you should.
You definitely should. And it kind of, we never did do the broad question, how does technology affect brain health? But you just kind of answered what reducing technology.
Blissful. I heard that
term.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Yeah,
keep
I
that
wish
up.
I checked my heart rate and everything. Like, I wish I did all that, but I can tell you just anecdotally, I was really excited about it. And I was like, I just need to do this more. I should just do this more. So,
and I think some of the data is following your experience. I think people are finding that Susanna and I have like 1,500 books in our library. We both love reading the actual books. So well done. Way to go. Keep that up.
I love it.
Trish, this is great. Thank you so much for joining us. This is fantastic. Sabryna, was there anything last bit you wanted to throw in here before I close us out?
No, I do think that the best thing I got from besides the fact that we love the Catalyst Cornerstones, and then Trish, you gave us coaches so much stuff that we can coach our clients on to enhance their brain health. But I just still love the idea of keep the brain learning. Learning new things, learning new things.
Well, and Sabryna, I think one of the huge values that Trish brought into this was things that people might be like, it's not that big a deal. Hearing, sight, a little more focus on the type 2 diabetes, the list that you provided, Trish, a lot of times people, for good reason, we all have our reasons, can kind of poo-poo that, like, I know that's important for people, but I'm fine. And then when you bring it into brain health, all of a sudden people go, oh, this could be a trigger point for early onset. Now that's a different conversation completely. And so now the coach has a tool to help that individual take strides in something that previously they just, not really. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So wonderful.
It's a new motivating factor. For sure.
Absolutely. Right. No question about it. Yeah, no question. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Sabryna, great job as always. Good to see both of you. And we will close it out here.
So wonderful. Thank you for having me. What a great conversation. I learned too. So this is great.
Perfect. I love hearing that.
Podcasting. It's learning.
Thanks for joining us. If you've been considering pursuing your NBC-HWC approved coach certification, now is the time. Each of our 4 annual cohorts includes the latest updates from the NBC-HWC, including a complimentary study group for those pursuing the national board exam. All the details on our institute site, catalystcoachinginstitute.com, or email us anytime with questions, or if you just want to chat about how the details all come together. Results at catalystcoachinginstitute.com, and we'll set up some time to talk through your specific situation and your potential plans. And now, it's time to be a catalyst. This is Catalyst Coaching's Dr. Brad Cooper. Make it a great rest of your week, and I'll speak with you soon on the next episode of the Coaching Lab podcast, or maybe over on the YouTube coaching channel.